I am Kiran Makkar, and today I am going to discuss with you a graph which has been seen in the past in the academic IELTS writing test. In fact, these are two column graphs. The charts below show the population size, death rate, birth rate in England and Wales from 1700 to 2000. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. So here you can see this is about the population and this is about the death rate and birth rate, and the time is from 1700 to 2000. Um, the given column graphs depict, instead of depict we can say illustrate the population and the number of deaths and births per 1,000 people per year. The population and the number of deaths and births per 1,000 people per year between 1700 and 2000. So if I write the number of deaths and births per 1,000 people, it means death rate and birth rate. If I used the word death rate and birth rate, then I don't have to write per 1,000 people because it is understood from the definition of the birth rate and death rate. So these are two countries in England and Wales. The given column graphs illustrate the population and the number of deaths and births per 1,000 people per year between 1700 and 2000 in England and Wales. A cursory glance at the graph is enough to make it clear that the population grew exponentially and the death rate was lesser than the birth rate throughout the given period. So here you can see the population grew exponentially, means it grew very rapidly, and in all the cases the death rate was lesser than the birth rate throughout the given period. The population of England and Wales stood at approximately 2 million in the year 1700. There was a sharp rise in population and it reached 50 million by the year 2000. So here you can see it is just 2 million and 50 million by the year 2000. So I've just used the data for this year and that year because it has grown in all the years, so I haven't mentioned separately the population in these 2 years. Then we come to the second column graph. The birth rate and death rate were the highest in 1800. So birth rate and death rate were the highest in the year 1800. Birth rate and death rate. See, no other year has this much birth rate and death rate, and were the highest. I've used the highest, and then in the brackets I have given 40 per 1,000 people and 36 per 1,000 people respectively. The difference in the birth rate and death rate was between 3 and 5 per 1,000 people from 1700 to 1900. So difference in the birth and death rate, here you can see it is 27 and 30 per 1,000 people. Here it is around 36 and 40. It is around 28 and 42, and here it is 20 and 35. So the difference in birth rate was between 3 and 5 per 1,000 from 1700 to 900. So here from 1700 to 1900 the difference was very less. But in this year, by this year, the difference, the discrepancy was too much between the birth rate and the death rate. So the difference in the birth rate and death rate was between 3 and 5 per 1,000 people from 1700 to 1900, but the highest discrepancy in birth and death rate was there in 2000. The death rate was 20 per 1,000 population, whereas the birth rate was 35 per 1,000 population in that year. Overall, the population showed an increasing trend, but the birth and death rates showed fluctuating trends over the given period of 3 centuries. So here it is a period of 3 centuries from 1700 to 2000, and the birth and death rates fluctuated, but population showed an increasing trend. So this is a brief description of the graph that I have written as a sample. There are many ways to write the graph, but I have used the language of comparisons. I have used the superlative, the comparative forms. I have explained the first graph and the second graph, and I hope you've learned something from it. Thank you very much for watching patiently.